or just your reaction to the verdict?
Well, obviously I'm pleased with the verdict. You know, the jury had a hard job in terms of lots of things they had to look at that, you know, people don't like to have to look at. They certainly had a very important job. They considered everything very thoroughly, you know, and came back with the decision of guilty on both counts. And, you know, that's what we were looking for. You know, you don't take any joy in having to do something like this, but you know, I'm certainly pleased that the result came out the way that it did, and I'm appreciative to the jury for their hard work in looking at everything that there was. You know, our criminal justice system doesn't work without jurors who are wanting to fulfill their responsibility of arriving at verdicts. And you know, the most serious cases, which this is one of the most serious cases, I have a general philosophy. Those are the ones that you got to let the jury decide, as opposed to, you know, having a plea bargain to work something out. You know, something lesser, you know, we try to work out plea bargains to move things along, but when you get to the most important ones, it's better to just let the jury decide.
As the prosecutor, as this day unfolded, there was a lot of hours of discussion. Give us your thoughts as that was kind of happening, and if that caused you concern. Were you thinking anything along that 6-hour process?
Well, it was obvious that they were carefully considering everything, and you know, they had the 911 tape and the confession video to be able to watch. They took it long enough that I'm, you know, confident that they spent a good part of the time looking at those things again. I don't know that for sure, but certainly based upon the time that they spent, they had plenty of time to do that. You know, that confession interview, in my opinion, was important. And you know, there was things that she said, you know, the first time when she talked to the police, she told part of the story. The second time she's mentioned the rock. And only then the third time when she talked to the Detective Wilson, did she mention that Cadence woke up and said, "Mom, stop." Cadence woke up and said, "Mom, stop." So, thank you.
Yeah.
So that third interview, in my opinion, was the most full and complete account. And you know, one of the comments in closing argument was, why didn't they show all the interviews? Well, you know, we could have done that, but I thought that the jury got the whole story in that third interview. So, you know, they carefully considered everything, and you know, it's certainly sad when a small child like Caleb dies, but you know, we did what we could about justice today. That's all we can do.
What are the range of possibilities on first-degree murder?
That's a good question. The law says the presumed sentence is a 50-year sentence. However, the law says that the court can depart down to a mandatory minimum of 25 years. So I anticipate at the hearing that we have, the court will decide whether or not it will be a 50-year sentence or a 25-year sentence. Then the aggravated assault, you know, I don't know exactly, I haven't looked it up, how much that aggravated assault could potentially add. And that aggravated assault, which is probably ballpark figure 18 to 24 months, could be ordered to run consecutive or concurrent. You know, when you're talking about 25 years or 50 years, you know, another year doesn't make much difference. But if they had to come back guilty only of second-degree murder rather than premeditated murder, then the other year to a year and a half that you would get for the aggravated assault would have had some significance. Mm-hmm. So, and I thought that, you know, causing fear to Caleb deserved that extra charge, so that's why I filed that extra charge.
Mental illness was talked about a lot during this trial,
yes.
And certainly it did not seem to come into play with the jury's verdict. Can you talk
It could very well have been that that's what the jury was thinking about. That's part of, you know, their deliberating. You know, our legislature changed the law maybe 6 or 7 years ago, so mental illness is only a defense as it relates to intent to commit the crime, okay? Intentionally for the murder and knowingly for the aggravated assault. So the test used to be whether or not she knew what she was doing was wrong when she did it and had intent to do it at the time. Now it's just a matter of whether or not she intended to commit the crime. And you know, on my closing, I talked about, and based upon, you know, Dr. Dom's testimony, you evaluate goals and then being able to take action consistent with those goals, and that's what I argued, and that's why I was arguing it was premeditated, and eventually the jury came to that conclusion. So even though someone obviously would have to have, I think, mental problems in order to have done this type of crime, she was still capable of forming the intent, is the conclusion the jury came to, and she knew when she was stabbing Caleb that she was killing him, and that was what she was intending to do as she was doing it.
Where does this range on your scale in your career here in this county in terms of heinousness and sadness?
Well, you'd have to relate back to the sad time when Michelle Tate was killed by Billy Reed. First time when I was in the prosecutor's office, I prosecuted that case. So this certainly ranks with that. And on that case, we had a tragic mother who was grieving over the situation. Maybe Ms. Blansett was grieving now as well. I don't mean to imply that she's not. But we had an outsider come in and commit that murder. And this case is, you ask how long it's been since we've had that type of case. At least in my career, it would relate back to the Billy Reed case.
And how long was that?
That would have been about, I can't tell you exactly, ballpark figure, about 1984, 1985.
Wow.
95.
95?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Several
Okay.
years.
Yeah, yeah, several years. Yeah.
So now, just focusing on the sentencing, which will take place in early December.
Early December, and at that point in time, there will be a pre-sentence investigation in terms of any prior record, which I'm not anticipating that there is any significant prior record, but that's the pre-sentence investigator's requirement to fill in that detail. And then, we'll be debating at that point in time whether or not it'll be a 25-year sentence or a 50-year sentence.
To life. That's just for parole.
Yeah, it would be a life sentence, but that would be how long before she could potentially have conditional release. And that's hard time. I mean, they don't get any good time credit on either of those charges.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
All right, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.